Hi everyone, Anthony here from Awesome Anthony Productions, and today I'm going to be reviewing James Cameron's long-awaited sequel to 2009's Avatar, Avatar: The Way of Water. Please make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so that you never miss any review. You can also find the links to my social media in the description below. Let's get into it. Avatar: The Way of Water picks up over a decade from the last film, with Sam Worthington's Jake Sully and Zoe Saldana's Neytiri having their own family. But when Stephen Lang's Colonel Quatrick is resurrected via an avatar and sets out for revenge, the Sullys will find themselves, well, wet. I mentioned it a little bit in my intro, but the first Avatar has had a bit of a critical reevaluation since 2009, and it's looked on a bit more unfavorably. I don't understand why. It's still one of my favorite movies of all time, and whenever I watch it, I'm completely absorbed into the story. The characters, the groundbreaking CGI, the scenery, the amazing music, the action scenes, the emotion. Everything in Avatar works well for me, and if it's derivative, I don't really give a shit. It's well executed. So even though it's 13 years later, I was excited as for this sequel. And though I have a few small complaints in this over 3-hour film, this is an incredibly strong sequel with plenty of jaw-dropping spectacle, visuals, and a surprisingly strong message, especially for 2022. To start, great performances all around for the cast. Sam Worthington reminds us that he still exists. Man, I'm sure he was waiting by the phone for that James Cameron call. No, but seriously, for what we can see here through the motion capture and CGI, which even though it looks the same is leagues above what we got in 2009, through all of that, Sam Worthington proves he's still a pretty damn good actor. And his role in the story as not only a badass leader, but a caring, loving father really allows him to stretch his dramatic chops. Also, I love to see that in a modern Hollywood blockbuster for once. I'm all for modern sensibilities, but sometimes it's nice to just see a film that actually goes out of its way to praise the idea of having a family and being a loving family man and a father.
This family is our fortress.
I ended up on a tangent. Let's back it up a little bit. Now, you may want to sit down here, because I've got the hottest of takes coming in, and you're going to want to let it sit for a minute or two to cool. Here it is. You ready? Zoe Saldana, Sigourney Weaver, Stephen Lang, and Kate Winslet all gave great performances in this film. I know, right? Zoe Saldana brings a ton of emotion to spice up her admittedly limited screen time compared to the first film, and her role as a mother leads to some truly dramatic and emotional moments here. And even though I wish we would have seen more of Neytiri, she's still the strong, badass character from the first movie, but has a bigger heart now because she's a mother now. Sigourney Weaver plays Kiri, the eldest of Jake and Neytiri's kids, and she did an amazing job embodying this teen with eyes full of wonder and features that... I can't actually really discuss this all that much because it's kind of a spoiler with how she fits into the plot, but I'll say that she did a great job, and if you're concerned about the almost 70-year-old Sigourney Weaver playing and voicing a teenager, don't worry, she does a great job. Stephen Lang... I mean, you see him through an avatar, through blue CGI, through the entire movie. But like Sam Worthington, it doesn't matter. He still is intimidating, badass, and he actually gets an emotional arc. And I actually found myself feeling for him a couple times in the movie, even though he's still a monstrous asshole. Colonel Quatrick's just a great villain. Kate Winslet is a newcomer that's part of the water tribe that Jake and his family end up going to. She does a great job here too. I couldn't even tell it was her through the voice and everything. And apparently she held her breath like over 6 minutes for some of the scenes here. And that was just amazing. I don't have the names in front of me for who plays Jake's other kids. He's got 2 sons and a young daughter. They're fantastic. Something that this movie does that I really appreciate, that other movies recently that like to bring in legacy characters and new characters, it actually gives them both a chance to shine and be main characters throughout this whole movie. I mean, it helps that there's only been one Avatar movie, and it's not like Star Wars, where there was 40 years in between the original and the sequel trilogy. But even then, in like Marvel and Star Wars and stuff like that, they're more interested in tearing down the legacy characters and pushing them to the side for the new ones. Avatar: The Way of Water doesn't do that. The kids and Jake and Neytiri are the main characters here, and they all get a chance to shine. They all are interwoven perfectly into the plot, and they all have emotional character arcs. Except for Jake's oldest son, he could have had a little bit more writing, but his middle son is one of the best characters in the film, and I found myself very attached to him. Actually, I found myself attached to all of Jake's family. Kiri's a great character. The youngest daughter is Took. She's cute as hell. The 2 sons are great. The middle son is the best character in this movie, in my opinion, and every time he was on screen, I was glued to him wanting to see what he did, because I actually related a lot to him.
Outcast. That's all they see.
I see you.
And with the emotional highs of the story here, I definitely cried a few times. And the rest of the new characters are all great too, but I'm not going to keep going on that because I know you want to hear what I want to talk about, which are the f***ing visuals, because holy shit, my mind was going to explode in this theater. Yeah, big CGI spectacle is nothing new nowadays. We see like 10 movies a year that have big CGI spectacle. half of which come from Marvel. But the thing is, a lot of those movies are starting to feel more like a cash grab, and this is definitely not a cash grab. You can tell that James Cameron just put so much passion, thought, and effort behind this film. I mean, shit, it took him 12 years to make the first one, 13 years to make this one, and you understand why. He could have given up at any point, but he never rested on his laurels. He wanted to give an amazing experience, a visual spectacle that you could get lost into, just like the first Avatar. And I think it works better here than the first one. The decision to take the Na'vi from the trees into the water was absolutely genius and really injects some uniqueness into this film. Plus the fact that you just get to see a whole new world of Pandora with all the underwater scenes, and those underwater scenes are just amazing. If I can jump into left field here, I'm gonna bring up the pace because the water scenes kind of reminded me of that. For a 3-hour and 12-minute movie, this is paced incredibly well. James Cameron knows when to back off and let the characters have their emotional moments, let the slower moments breathe, but he also knows when to come in with a scene that will literally make your jaw drop and your eyes widen with how beautiful and amazing the action is. But then, with the slower scenes, you also get scenes where the characters are just underwater, taking everything in. And I was so absorbed into that, especially seeing this in IMAX 3D. I couldn't tell you the last time I saw a 3D movie. This one was made for 3D, and James Cameron really knows how to push that technology to make it all the more realistic. Speaking of realistic technology, the Uncanny Valley is kind of dead at this point, isn't it? The biggest thing that took me out every now and then with Avatar in 2009 were the eyes. It helped that the humanoid Na'vi were not as human-like as you might have expected, so it made it easier to suspend your disbelief. But the biggest problem with motion capture technology is the dead eyes and the characters looking like smooth-ass zombies. But it finally feels like that problem is dead. All the characters feel so real here. I had to remind myself several times that this was CGI. Honestly, whenever they had humans popping in on the screen with everything around them, the humans stuck out more than anything else. But the main point of all of that, the main point of all of this visual spectacle, amazing CGI, advancements in technology that James Cameron made, is that everything just feels that much more realized, realistic. It's that much easier to get invested to, especially when, yeah, they're pixels, but these are real characters, and you get emotionally invested in their story. And it works. It works so well. And obviously, you know, the movie's called The Way of Water, so a good portion of this movie, which was one of my favorite parts of the first one, which was about Jake learning the Na'vi culture and adapting to it, is kind of repeated here, but in a much more unique way, with Jake and his family learning the ways of the water Na'vi. Because the water Na'vi, they were adapted, they were evolved, and now they basically, like, they have strong-ass tails, big arms with fins, they can breathe underwater. So Jake and his family coming from the forest, they have to adapt to that. And that really brings a lot of intrigue and interesting parts into the film. Really, everything just works very well, not completely. This isn't perfect, unfortunately, and I really did love it. It's probably going to be on my top 10, but I do have a few small complaints. So there's a new character here, Spider. He's a human that was left behind after the first war from the first Avatar movie, and he's kind of like, he's hanging out with the scientists and hanging out with the Na'vi. He's kind of like a feral boy, but also can speak English and is kind of smart. I don't know. He was a good character, but the actor was not that strong for him. I don't remember what his name was. I apologize. I'll probably put it on the screen or something. But every time he was acting or talking or saying his lines, I just wasn't convinced at all by him. He's definitely the weakest actor in the film. At over 3 hours, a couple parts feel a little like filler. And there's a couple parts where I wish someone would have told James Cameron, like, no, you don't need to put this in the film. There's one scene involving whalers, and the main whaler is cartoonishly evil. Makes Qualtrics look like Hello Kitty with how evil he is and how he just relishes in loving to kill the wildlife in Pandora. Talking about the villains too, even though Qualtrics is very well done here, and I was a little nervous about him coming back, but I think they did a great job with his character, especially with him being an Avatar now. I thought the rest of the characters that he was with, like the rest of his mercenaries, they had zero development whatsoever. They maybe get a couple of lines here and there, but I would have liked to see just a little bit more instead of just having them be henchmen, you know? But overall, I mean, I can't really think of any other complaints with this film. I really was just blown away by it. I was sucked into this world and this adventure. I was emotionally invested in the entire story. Annie, go lay down, baby. I'll be out in a second. Go lay down. It's okay, baby. I was emotionally invested in the entire thing, and honestly, I think this one hits more emotional highs than that first Avatar. I gasped, I laughed, I cried, I sat there like this a few times, just in awe of how stunning this movie was. And even though the story is a little simplistic at times, it really just works. Everything pays off. The last 45 minutes are some of the most amazing action I've seen in the last few years. And really, this was worth the wait. I loved Avatar The Way of Water, and I recommend it to everybody. Just make sure you see the first one first if you haven't yet. I know it's long, but there's a lot of connections that you'll probably be lost with if you didn't see that first movie. Hey,
What?
what about the music, dummy? Oh, yeah, I forgot to talk about the score. The score is great here. No one can replace the late, great James Horner, but Simon Franklin did a pretty good job following him up, and he uses a few themes that James Horner invented for Avatar that are great. But the score is just perfect. Just like the first movie, it's ethereal, it's mystical, it gets epic when it needs to, but for the rest of the film, it's just about immersing you into this world of Pandora. When I took those IMAX 3D glasses off at the end of the movie, I was disappointed. I wanted more. And that is amazing. For a film that took 13 years to be made and basically isn't relevant anymore, I mean, the last time that Avatar was relevant was when Pandora released in Animal Kingdom back in 2017. This movie really justified itself and was more than just a sequel. I honestly liked it better than the first Avatar. So yeah, go check it out, especially if you're a fan of that first movie. I don't think you'll be disappointed, and I am so ready for the third movie in 2024. And that's my review of Avatar The Way of Water. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell so you never miss any of my content. I post new shorts and reviews every week. You can also find the links to my social media in the description below. And while you're at it, you can click or tap on these cards here. They'll take you to my double review of The Mean One and Violent Night, or just over to my channel where you can find my reviews, my shorts, and my old shit. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Oh, one second. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I won't see you until next week for my next review, so Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate, and I'll see you on the next one.